It began with a contradiction that lay at the very heart of the American experiment. A nation founded on the ideals of liberty and equality, yet built in part on the back of slavery. For decades, this contradiction brewed tension between North and South, two regions growing apart not only in culture but in economy, ideology, and politics. In the North, the Industrial Revolution was transforming cities into booming centers of commerce, manufacturing, and wage-based labor. Immigrants poured in, fueling the demand for cheap labor and expanding the urban workforce. Meanwhile, the South remained agrarian, dominated by cotton plantations that depended entirely on enslaved African labor. Cotton was king, and slavery was its lifeblood. These economic differences hardened into political ones. As new states were added to the Union, fierce debates broke out. Would they be free or slave states? The balance of power in Congress teetered with every new territory. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 tried to maintain peace, drawing an invisible line across the country. Slavery would be allowed below it, banned above. But it was a temporary fix. By the 1850s, the fragile compromise began to crumble. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 allowed settlers to decide for themselves whether to allow slavery, sparking violent clashes known as Bleeding Kansas. It wasn't just a policy dispute anymore. It was blood in the soil. And behind it all, an intense moral debate was boiling over. The abolitionist movement in the North gained momentum, with voices like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and John Brown calling slavery a moral evil that had to end. But to many in the South, slavery was not only an economic necessity, it was a way of life they believed was under attack. Then came the spark. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. Though he wasn't calling for the immediate abolition of slavery where it already existed, Southerners saw his victory as a direct threat. He represented a party, the Republicans, that opposed the spread of slavery into new territories. To them, this was unacceptable. Just weeks after Lincoln's election, South Carolina seceded from the Union. One by one, 6 more Southern states followed, forming the Confederate States of America. They argued they had the right to secede, to preserve their way of life and protect their property, which included enslaved people. Lincoln tried to keep the peace, but the situation reached a breaking point in April 1861. Confederate forces opened fire on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The Civil War had begun. What followed was 4 years of brutal, bloody conflict, the deadliest war in American history. Brothers fought against brothers. Towns were torn apart. Nearly 620,000 lives were lost. And yet, the war wasn't just about preserving the Union. As it raged on, it transformed. With the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, Lincoln made ending slavery a central aim of the war, giving it a new moral clarity. But the path to war had been paved long before the first shots were fired. Decades of compromise, conflict, and clashing visions of America had finally erupted. The Civil War was not a sudden event. It was the result of a slow, painful unraveling of unity, where political divides, economic interests, and deep-rooted beliefs collided with deadly force. And in its aftermath, the United States would be forever changed.